Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, which is a New Year's Day special. New Year's Day falls on a Saturday this year, so it feels extra special. So we'll see if it is. We've got some good racing to preview for you. We're going to do, I think it works out at 9 races tomorrow because of a little bit of schedule confusion. So we've got an extra one from Musselburgh, which you'll all be very excited about, I know. 4 really good races from Cheltenham. We're going to talk about the Savills New Year's Day chase, which sees the return of Album Photo. I think that's worth touching upon in relation to the Gold Cup market, although perhaps nobody's going to be steaming into him at his current price. And we're also going to touch on the Lawlors of Naas, which falls on Sunday. We've just had decks through for that as well. That's the Grade 1 this weekend at Naas. Time to welcome in the team. Steve Jones, first of all. How are you, Jonesy? How was your Christmas?
Very good. Enjoyed the racing thoroughly, too much as everyone else did, and looking forward to the New Year's Day stuff at Cheltenham especially.
Yeah, where there's plenty of strength in depth there, although the strength in depth over the Christmas period, Don fell in Ireland, and you were there for much of it. Oh, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant, Tom. You know, obviously the Grade 1s were great, but some of the performances in the beginners' chases and the maiden hurdles were really, you know, the good horses that you wanted to see coming back came back and did what you hoped and expected them to do. Just a pity there was nobody at Leopardstown, a smattering of people. We definitely missed the crowds, but yeah, hopefully they'll be back soon.
30,000 at Cheltenham tomorrow. Bring your lateral flows if you're going in the weight room, as long as they're negative. Right, let me tell you about the insights post that we do each and every podcast, insights.matchbook.com, for a recap of all of our best bets. That is where to go if you've got no time to listen to the pod, or if you've listened to the pod and forgotten our selections, then you can head there. Or if you don't trust us, you can find out who you don't want to back. However you want to use it, that's a recap of all the bets at insights.matchbook.com. If you like our content, give us a like on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, and you can subscribe for free there. It makes it easier to watch each and every podcast that Matchbook produce through every sport. And if you are listening to the podcast, give us a review and a follow on your preferred podcast app. These were the Christmas winners we had. Tornado Flyer 34.0. Proper Shrewdy found that one. It helps when you don't fancy anything at the top of the market. Hardly had anything on. There you go. Epatante 1.91. She was a good winner in the end. Brave Man's Game 2.34. We went 2 and 2. 2 went for a Hoist and or 2 went for Brave Man's Game. And Brave Man's Game drifted to 2.34 and went off outsider of those 2 and 1. Good Boy Bobby was a winner at 5.5. Bet you loved that one, Jonesy, didn't you? Having deserted him finally. Fernley Hollow 2.0. Envoy Allen, you did get on the board, Steve. Well done. 1.45. Mighty Potter 3.75. You also found that one, and I Will Do It. Most of these were Don's, and that was your best bet, Don. So great shout in the Welsh National. I Will Do It. Actually bolted up as well at 8.2. We had a decent Christmas period. Doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes we have a bad week. So there we are. We'll sing when we're winning, and we did over Christmas. It was a good time of it. Let's see how we get on then on New Year's Day. So first of all, we're going to go to the 125 at Cheltenham. It is officially the Dipper. But this year it's called, is it the Paddy Power Novices Chase? I think that's what it's called this year. Let me bring up some prices for you. There's actually a bit of depth to it this year. It doesn't always work out like that, but we've got a field of 9 here, which is a nice big field for this race. Long Press heads the betting currently at 2.75. Miller's Bank is 4.5. The Glancing Queen is also 4.5. Come On Teddy is in there at 10.0. Oscar Elite 12.0. A fair bit bigger prices the rest. Steve, I'm going to come to you first of all because I was really tempted by your selection. I don't really know in the end why I went off Long Press, but why do you like Long Press?
When you gave it that build-up, I thought you were saying I'll be on an outsider. I usually start off by trying to take on the favourite when I'm looking at the race. So when I come down with the favourite, that I think he has absolutely got a great chance. And although he's a short price, I think that applies to Long Press. I was so impressed with what he did at Ascot last time. And that was a graduation chase. That wasn't a novices chase. And it was his second start over fences. He'd won at Exeter quite nicely previous to that. But what he did at Ascot was really good. He thrashed the likes of Messier des Obeaux, who won the Dipper last year, and he thrashed him. I know he's getting £7, but the way he went through that race was so impressive. He clearly has got no problem with soft ground, because I think it's going to be quite testing. And the other thing with Lompress at Ascot, he jumped away to his left. He edged left at his fences, which going this way round, the left-handed at Cheltenham rather than right-handed at Ascot, it's going to be an advantage. And maybe 2 weeks after that performance at Ascot, although he won very easily, I would sometimes be a little bit suspicious about horses backing up so quickly. I always think that jumps horses need 3 weeks between their races, but Venetia Williams does it so many times, having horses out a lot quicker than 14 days, so that doesn't worry me at all. I think he's absolutely bomb-proof. I think he's a really quality horse, and although there's a good few in there that might test him, I just think his jumping and his performance last time makes him a bet at 7-4. It's a bit short for me usually, but I just think he's bomb-proof almost.
Interesting. And yeah, you're working on testing ground then, Jonesy, right? So not necessarily heavy, but soft ground that's going to take some getting through it.
No, just proper soft ground, yeah, which is what you come to expect in December, January.
Yeah. January the 1st, tomorrow. That's it, New Year's Day.
Well spotted.
Don, you are looking at a slightly bigger price with Oscar Elite for Team Tizard.
Yeah, I just think we haven't got to the bottom of him yet, Tom. He's he's got £10 or £11 to find with Lompress. On official ratings, he only gets £3, so he does have to be better than his handicap mark. But I think he can be. Like, he finished second in the Albert Bartlett Hurdle last year, albeit he was beaten well by Vanillier. And he was travelling very well in his chasing debut at Cheltenham at the November meeting when he fell at third last. Look, we don't know how he would have fared, but he was going well in 300 through 5. Obviously went and enhanced that form next time at Doncaster. And then last time at Huntingdon, he just was ridden too aggressively, I thought. He went and he took it off Brinkley early. He was travelling well in behind him. He matched him in front and then went on, and Brinkley just outstayed him. So while he's finished second in Albert Bartlett, I think the drop back down to 2.5, it's no harm for him because he does have pace. And if he's got Cheltenham form, the very soft ground would be a bit of a worry, but he does have form on it, and I think soft ground as well, it'll bring his stamina into play over 2.5 miles. So I think that he's a horse that you would have expected a wee bit more from this season than he's shown so far. It was disappointing the way that he folded in the Huntingdon race, but I just think that we can give him another chance, especially at the price. And I also thought, come on, Teddy would be a bit shorter than he is. I thought he did well last time at Uttoxeter over what I thought was a trip too short from over 2.5 miles. He was very weak in the market that day. He jumped well and he won well. Like, he finished third in the Pertemps final last year when he was well out the back in a race that wasn't run at a fast pace. So he did well to finish off as well as he did to take third place. So I was between him and Oscar Elite. I was kind of thinking that, come on, Teddy, it might be that when he steps back up to 3 miles, ideally at Cheltenham, because he's got good form at Cheltenham, that would be the thing for him. But I think over 2.5, Oscar Elite at a bigger price as well than Come On Teddy. I just think he's a better bet, and I think that I think he can get go close enough to winning it.
Widden Place, I take it, Don, for Oscar Elite.
Yeah, I suppose he's at a price at which you can bet Widden Place. Yeah.
He is 12.0. My selection is Come On Teddy, who's 10.0 for a lot of the reasons that Don said in a way about Oscar Elite. But I think he will. Well, we know he'll stay. The ground isn't going to be a problem. He's got really good course form. He's a winner at Cheltenham over 3 miles over hurdles, and that's good form as well. I mean, he tried to cut it with some good horses. Certainly, the back end of last season, running the big festivals. His reappearance was good at Uttoxeter. Yes, he's got a bit to find. I know he's rated 138, 10 and £11 shy of the likes of Lompress and Miller's Bank. But I just hope the race sets up for him, because I think he'll be ridden cold enough, and there is potentially plenty of pace on Lompress, Miller's Bank. They won't be too far away. The Glancing Queen's gone forward before. Oscar Elite as well has gone forward before, though might not necessarily here. Fantastic Ass. So that was the angle that it will turn into a test, and he'll pick up the pieces later on for Come On Teddy, who is 10.0 win and place. Is it a horse that you know a bit about, Steve? No?
Well, a little bit. I always thought he was one of Tom's nicest young horses. What I was going to say, I was going to contradict myself a little bit because, as you know, I don't hold much faith in the official ratings in these sort of races. But the last horse to win the Dipper off an official rating, having had an official rating in the 130s, was Calgary Bay 13 years ago. So it's always a race that is of a high quality. But no, Come On Teddy, when like Don says, when he goes up to 3 miles, he's gonna be really serious. I just wonder whether at this level, at this distance, he might just find a few with a bit more toe. But he's a really nice prospect.
I was just looking back then about whether do you associate this race with horses that do get further, or I mean, Lost in Translation won it. We know that he gets further, but then Oscar Whiskey won it, and he had doubts at the trip. See You at Midnight is another horse who gets a little bit. But I suppose it's a mixture. It depends just how testing it is. You can't make any hard and fast rules about it, right?
Quite often, it's been very small fields as well. So I wouldn't pigeonhole it as a race that throws up any particular type.
Right, we're done on the Dipper, or the Paddy Power Novices Chase, as it is this year. 3 different selections there between Come On Teddy, Long Press and Oscar Elite. We move on to the 140 at Musselburgh. Now, this has been added to the ITV schedule. They changed it from a little bit earlier on in the week, which means because I did my homework late, I looked at this race and not the 325. So you have to just listen to me here, because the other 2 haven't looked at it. So apologies for that. But I do have a horse who I quite fancy here in the form of Geronimo, who always caught me out a couple of times just on pronunciation. But it is Geronimo for Brian Hughes and Donald McClean. Was second to Tommy's Oscar. I think that is the best bit of form on offer. They pulled about 4 lengths clear of the third that day. Tommy's Oscar is running subsequently in the 210. That 210 is a Class 2 contest over the 2 miles. This race is over 2.5. But I think most importantly for Geronimo, it's a lesser race than last time. And he has won over 2.5 as well. He's progressing really nicely. I suppose my slight niggling doubt is if there is more rain around. So you never associate Musselburgh with being really testing. But if it is testing down, that will worry me slightly. I don't think it will be. Hopefully, no worse than good to soft. And I think he'll get the run of things as well. There are a few horses that like to be ridden a little bit cold in there, and I think Brian Hughes will just go about it pretty simply with Geronimo. He is 4.33. That was bigger than I thought he would be, to be honest. I know that Strong Glance ran really well last time. I do think Strong Glance wants a sound surface as well, and I just don't think the form is quite as good as that as Geronimo. So he was a warm enough bet for me on the day, Geronimo in that 140 at Musselburgh. That's it, because we're going to kick on. Then you get to listen to Steve for the 325 at Musselburgh. We're going to kick on to the next at Cheltenham, and it looks like this, with it being 2 o'clock. It is a 2 mile, 4.5 furlong handicap chase, another one of them. Al Nadam is 6.5, 7.0 for Cool Cody, as is Funambol Sivola. Zanza has cheap pieces on for the first time, 8.0. Galahad Quest, 10.0. Then we are into the much bigger double figures. Don, straight back at you. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's a really good race. I suppose it's in a similar vein to the Paddy Power Gold Cup and the December Gold Cup. And no surprise, Cool Cody is back. I just think the ground might be just on the sharp side, or on the soft side for Cool Cody. He's been brilliant, really. He could have won the Paddy Power, then he did win the December Gold Cup, and it's the right race for him. He's up another couple of pounds from his December Gold Cup win. And I suppose the cheap pieces on Zanza is an interesting angle, because he just, in both those races, he seemed to get a wee bit outpaced and then stayed on. But for making a bad mistake at the second last fence, he could have gone very close to winning it the last day. But I just think Galahad Quest could be the one here. The ground is completely in his favour. He's a very unexposed horse. He's only just about to turn 6. And he ran a very eye-catching race at Wetherby when he finished third behind Goodbye Bobby on his first run this season. Then he ran in the Paddy Power, and the ground was good that day. I kind of think he's probably a better horse on a flat track. He's got good form at Haydock and Wetherby, but he did run well at Cheltenham in the Paddy Power on ground that should have been too fast for him, or faster than ideal. And then last time at Aintree, I actually backed him at Aintree last time when he fell on soft ground. I thought everything was in his favour. He's back in here on the same mark of 134, so he's actually £1 lower than he was earlier in the season. And I think the soft ground should just allow him to get into his rhythm a wee bit better than he could in the November race. And the fact that he did run well at Cheltenham, that kind of alleviates the worry that he might be better on a flatter track. And yeah, I think he's decent value at about whatever 8.5 or thereabouts.
I completely agree. I think he's bigger than that, Don. 10.0 for Galahad Quest.
Even better.
What would I add to that? Probably the new course being a plus, given that it's been more of a test. He didn't finish as strongly as some others in that race in November in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. He finished strongly, but the second that day was absolutely flying Protector at. But I don't know. He did catch my eye. He's won at the track. He won over hurdles on Trials Day a few years ago. And yeah, as long as the fall hasn't dented his confidence or taking anything out of him or all that business, I think you take a chance at those prices. Ground's in his favour. More a test on this course than the old course. And yeah, I'm very solid on him. Sort of nearly best bet of the day material at 10.0. Probably not quite, but I'm very much with you there, Don, on Galahad Quest. And Steve Jones.
I just unmute. I backed Galahad Quest in the Paddy Power Gold Cup, and I was a bit disappointed that they rode him so far back, to be honest. And that is a slight concern for me again, especially as he fell last time. I don't think they want to be getting involved in the early battle. But what a race this is! This is every bit as competitive as the Paddy Power and the December Gold Cup. And you can fancy no end of horses. Alnadam, I can see a case for him, and obviously Galahad Quest and Zanza ran well. Cool Cody loves it around here. But I'm going to go with split stakes, quite small stakes, because I just think it's a really impossible puzzle. And the first one is the top horse there, Funambule Sivola, who I think brings graded form into this, was second to Shishkin, although brushed aside in that grade one novices chase at Aintree last year. But the comeback at Huntingdon I thought was really good behind First Flow in the Peterborough chase. They went a fast pace in that, and Funambule Sivola wasn't far off the pace, and First Flow just sort of picked the pieces up. So that's the sort of level he's been operating at. And if you go back to last season, was really progressive in handicaps. So hasn't just been doing it in races, graded races where he's been picking up lots of prize money, but he has been in handicaps. And although he's got top weight, he does like soft ground, and I think he's a young horse with more to offer. So Funambule Sivola is the first one. Riders on the Storm is the other one, who did well, won a grade one not so long ago for Nigel Twiston-Davies, then lost his way last season. Made a really nice comeback on his first start for Richard Hobson at Aintree, when second to Clan Legend. Again, when he was up with the pace, and they went at a good pace. I mean, you can tell how decent a gallop they went on that day. It was Beecher Chase Day. Only 2 of the 10 horses finished. So I think 6 of them pulled up. So they went at a proper pace, and Riders on the Storm was able to see it out. Now, if he's sharpened up for that and he's back on his old form, he's really dangerously well handicapped. In fact, he's really well handicapped. So I would go win or place on Riders on the Storm and a small win on Funambule Sivola.
8.0 Funambule Sivola and 15.0 for Riders on the Storm, who I thought was very tempting too. Couple of shouts for Galahad Quest from Don and I. Moving on to the 210 at Musselburgh. And this is the Hogmaneigh handicap hurdle. It's over 1 mile, 7.5 furlongs. You've got Tommy's Oscar right at the top of the betting. who is 3.75, 4.33 for first impression. Anna Benina 5.5, Christopher Wood 9.0 as is 5 and 20. 13.0 from Mick Maestro. Blakely Point is 15.0. Go on, Steve. Straight back at you.
Well, Tommy's Oscar, you were mentioning before, he's got an obvious chance. He's quite a short price. And I didn't think there was much between him and the one at a bigger price, Christopher Wood, who does like this track. He won over this course and distance. I think that was back in February. And he'd also ran well previous to that at Musselburgh. He likes these sort of right-handed sharp tracks. He won, I think he's won the same race at Musselburgh in February in that sort of Cheltenham trials meeting, 2 years on the bounce. He was a long way behind Tommy's Oscar last time, but he was sort of ridden very patiently that day. And I'm hoping that was at Haydock over 2-3. I think back to 2 miles around a track he likes, he can certainly outrun his odds. And he doesn't have too much to find with his form from Tommy's Oscar at Kelso in March. So he's a horse that has fluctuations in his performances, but when he comes to Musselburgh, he tends to run very well. And he gets on with Angus Cheltenham very well, who takes £5 off. So Christopher Wood in that one for me. A nice price.
Yeah, I agree. It was a price selection, 9.0, only 7 in it, which is a bit disappointing. I'd probably just go a win on Christopher Wood. Angus Cheltenham was on board for the last success, which came up. I think one of the crucial things here is if there is rain and it does go genuinely soft, he's one of the few horses. There's so many horses that are at Musselburgh looking for decent ground. I think he will definitely handle it. They said after that win, he probably wants a bit of cut in the ground. As you say, he's got form with Tommy's Oscar at Kelso, where he was beaten far enough, but he's off £6 lower now. And I'd imagine that they'd have had a trip back to Musselburgh in mind. Interesting that Angus Cheltenham rides him so much as well. He rides him well. He knows him well. And I thought he was a very fair price at 9.0. And then, Don, you're looking elsewhere.
Yeah, Anna Benina, Tom. I think she's one of the horses that is going to Musselburgh for better ground. John McConnell, as we know, he's not averse to travelling his horses, but he's only had 9 runners at Musselburgh and 3 of them have won. So the fact that he's going there with Anna Benina, she hasn't had a run in a little while, but she has gone well fresh in the past. She was travelling well in a 4-year-old hurdle at Bellewstown last year after a break when she came down at the second last flight, I think. But say she should be okay, given that even though she is coming here after a break, her run behind Milkwood at Ayr was a very good run. She wasn't beaten far by Milkwood, and she had Tommy's Oscar actually behind her, just behind her. But she meets him on £10 better terms. She's up £2 and he's up 12. Obviously, he's earned that hike in the ratings because he's won his last 2, and you can easily see the case for Tommy's Oscar. But I think Anna Benina going there fresh, the ground will suit her. Simon Torrance gets to take £3 off as well, which is a nice bonus. And yeah, I think she's a speedy filly or mare, and I think at around 5.0 or 4.5, that's fair enough.
Yeah, again, a point bigger than that, 5.5 available for Anna Benina, who's got some really good end of season form from the back end of last year. Cheltenham we go back to. This is the 235 and handicap hurdle over 3 miles, 14 in it. This is tough. 6.0 the field with art approval on Tamar Bridge, vying for favouritism. Pylon is 7.0. Botox has is 8.0. And then Kansas City Chief 10.0. Then we do get into the double figures. Somebody else can start off. Go on, Don.
Yeah, like I've been Botox has is a bit of a cliff horse for me. I thought the last day it was a project or an experiment very worthwhile taking on to step him up to 3 miles, because in the Cricket hurdle I backed him in that, and he set off in the front rank and he just started to lose his place, and he just didn't seem to have the pace for 2 miles, whereas you would have thought he would have been okay over 2 miles, but for all that he is good over 2.5 as well. But then last time over 3 miles at Cheltenham, I thought he did well. It was his first time over the trip, and Kansas City Chief was very, very good in front, and Victoria Melzar gave him a brilliant ride, dictated from the front. and Botox has, you can understand his first run over 3 miles. Jamie Moore was probably just riding him to make sure that he got home, but he did get home and he stayed on well up the hill. He closed on Kansas City Chief to the line, and the pair of them pulled nicely clear. So I think it's we know now that he stays 3 miles. It's probably the making of him, the fact that he was getting out paced over shorter trips that merited a step up in trip, and the fact that now he's gone up in trip. We know that he goes well at Cheltenham. He got £3 for that, which I think is fair. He's only 6, again, just turning 6. So he's got plenty of time on his side. He's completely unexposed at a longer trip, and soft ground shouldn't be an issue for him. So I mean, he meets Kansas City Chief on slightly better terms as well compared to the last day. But I just think that with that run under his belt, the fact that it was his first run over 3 miles, he can improve from that. And yeah, look, it's a deep race. Pylon is very interesting. He stayed on well to win at Sandown the last day. And I think that Stony Mountain is interesting at a big price. I thought he stayed on well the last day to finish 4th in the Haydock race on ground that was probably better than ideal from on softer ground off a faster pace. He could go out at a biggish price, but Botox has it the bed for me.
He's 26.0 is Stony Mountain, who you mentioned, but officially you're with Botox has who's 8.0. Jonesy.
Yeah, it's another really tough race. So I want to try and be with something at a bigger price. I'm interested to know what you're tipping, whether I'm going to quiz you on the naming of your tip later. But I shall stick with my tip, which is What's Up With You, who I think is way, way, way overpriced. Now, this horse, trained by Ben Pauling, who's in really good form. His horses have really struck form in December, which is a good sign. And he's got a lot of Cheltenham form, this horse. He was second to Stimulating Song in November last season when he went for home a long way out and was sort of mugged. I thought he was the moral winner of that race. And then he ran very well, went 4th at the festival in the conditional jockeys race behind Galopin de Champs, who has obviously shown himself over fences over the Christmas period to be a great prospect. And he was a very easy winner that day. But What's Up With You was one of the few to put it up to him in the straight, or try to. And he only just weakened into 4th. Now, I think stepping up to 3 miles is going to suit this horse really well. And that's one of the angles in as well. He's run twice over fences this season. It's all looked a bit of an effort for him. Certainly at Fontwell last time, it just seemed jumping fences took a lot out of him, a lot of his energy. And he was staying on in the end. That was 2.6 at Fontwell. I think up to 3 miles back over hurdles. Way, way, way overpriced. What's Up With You?
Yeah, he's a big price. What's Up With You is 21.0. Do you know who I was tempted by, Steve? Was the Mighty Dom back over hurdles? Because I do now agree with you that he wouldn't be the best jumper of a fence. But I've left it alone. Even
He's
though it's
a
big
real
price.
stayer. I think the problem with Mighty Don is if there was 3.5 mile hurdle races, he'd be ideal. But
not to be. Go on. What do you want to quiz me on with Tamar Bridge then?
I just wondered. Tamar Bridge is obviously a bridge in Devon, and I just wondered who you thought built the bridge.
Wasn't it a project done by a university?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Brunel University.
Yeah.
Right. I thought so. What does IK stand for with Brunel again?
In-depth knowledge, I think, isn't it?
What is his name? I've forgotten.
Isambard Kingdom Brunel, one of the most famous people in Britain.
Anyway, it's hard work, isn't it? Sorry, Steve. Anyway, didn't one of you guys put up Tamar Bridge at Aintree, or was it might have been DC? Was it one of you two?
Wasn't me.
I thought I'd be. It was someone. I think it was DC actually. Anyway, I thought somebody would be joining me here. I thought it was between the top two in the betting, both at 6.0. I know Art Approval won a heavy ground novice at Raisin, but otherwise he seems better on a sounder surface. I thought Tamar Bridge, I think that's the best form coming into this. I thought he won it through stamina, looked like he was crying out for a step up in trip. Pounding Poet had some good form coming into the race. They pulled clear enough in a good looking class 2 race. He's up £6 and he's a 6.0, a win and place price. I'd probably have enough on the win and then sort of cover my win stake in the place market. I was looking for a big price, and I was close to the mighty Don. And I think Steve's selection, what's up with you? I can see that as well. Ben Pauling's in good form, but I don't know. I thought Tamar Bridge should be clear favourite anyway off the back of that entry race. So that's who I'm going with. Let's move on to the next at Musselburgh. This is the 250. We're over 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs for the Auld Reekie handicap chase. Amour de Nuit is 3.25, 4.0 for Gold des Bois. Gallic Coast is 5.0. Joke Dancer is 6.5 and 7.5 for Nietzsche. There's a couple of us who fancy Gallic Coast here. I'll make the case first of all, because I thought he was the right favourite. Mainly on the angle that soft ground is no problem, and he absolutely loves the track. I mean, he was well put in his place last time, but Brian Hughes did say that day that he slipped early on in the approach to the first, and that was game over, although I think he was probably up against it there. I think a smaller field suits him. He'll just track the pace, and he likes the track. I just thought he was too big in comparison to Amour de Nuit, who I know ran better at Newbury than Gallic Coast, but I suggested why. And Gallic Coast ticks all the boxes as far as the track goes as well. Steve, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, my angle was with the track as well. I'm willing to forgive him last time. That was a hot race at Newbury. And if you say he slipped early on, because he was never in it, that was the thing, which is a little bit unlike him. And so back on soft ground. There is quite a bit of rain around up at Musselburgh. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go soft. So that'll suit Gallic Coast, because his last 2 wins have both been at Musselburgh on soft ground over this distance. So he's just got a huge amount going for him. And Donald McCain's another trainer in great form. It's been quite good to see because he obviously was on the top table a good few years ago, lost all the Rooney horses, which was something like 70, and he's built it back up. And it's good to see him doing well. It's only a matter of time before he gets another Grade 1 horse, in my opinion. So Gallic Coast won't be at that level, but he's at a decent level, and he's at his best at Musselburgh. So I'm with him.
Don, you with the favourite?
Yeah, I just think he's the right favourite, Tom. Look, I can see Gold des Bois, maybe he could improve. He was ex-Gordon Elliott horse. He's had 3 runs over fences now for Ian Jardine, so he could improve to play a part. But I just thought Amour de Nuit, like his hurdles form is very good. And now I was on the basis of good to soft ground, no softer. So an ease in the ground, a further ease in the ground would not be a positive for him. But I thought he ran well behind Fagnon d'Estravael the last day when, as you say, Gallic Coast was behind him. That was his first run over fences in quite some time. Look, you know, he couldn't go with Fagnon d'Estravael, who was a really impressive winner, but he stayed on well in Colorado. Doc, who was second, he was the only horse who could give I Will Do It a bit of a race in the Welsh National Trial next time. I think he's 10 years old, Amour de Nuit, turning 10, but I think he's got like his rating 135 over fences. It's fair. He can probably improve a wee bit on his run the last day at Newbury, given it was first run over fences and it's just a second run back of the season. And look, there's no huge angle or huge edge to him at the price. He's there. He's pretty exposed for all to see, but I think he's the most likely winner of the race.
Anybody want to guess what Paul Nicholls' strike rate is at Musselburgh? All-time strike rate. I mean, you've got to guess.
Does he have many runners at Musselburgh?
Well, I'll tell you how many runners he's had. He's had 61 runners. What's his strike rate, do we think?
Low.
Jonesy, you've got to unmute if you're going to guess. That's how it works.
24 winners.
Yeah, you just looked that up. Yeah, he's had 24 winners.
Is that right?
Shut up.
What do
Stop
I win?
it.
Oh, honestly, that was a guess, but I know he...
No, it wasn't. Was it?
It was, totally. But I know he always sends a strong team up to that February meeting.
It's 39%. That's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Our producer, Daniel Hussey, I feel I should point this out, just had a guess at 4%. Not bad. 39. Anyway, it always gets me. I've selected one of his horses at Musselburgh, I know, but it's just ridiculous. Matches his strike rate at Leicester, although for slightly fewer runners. Anyway, are we all done on the old Reekie? We all had a go at that. Yes. Let me remind you about the ongoing offer. It's the £20 welcome offer. It's a sign-up offer with Matchbook. It's money back as cash if your first bet loses. It is for new customers only. Important to tell you that. And you've got to use the bonus code Insights RF. Those are the letters RF, Romeo Foxtrot, Insights RF for that. Place your first bet. If it loses, you'll get your stake refunded as cash. The full terms and conditions are on the Matchbook website. That's the £20 sign-up offer. Money back as cash if your first bet loses. I always love this graphic we do because Don is right there about to get whacked over the head by Novak Djokovic by the looks of things. If you're listening on the pod, there you go, you can't see it. Right, on we go to the feature of the day, certainly in the UK at Cheltenham. 3:10, it is the Dawn and Engineering Relkeel hurdle. I find it tough to work out, to be completely honest, and I've gone for one at a bigger price. In fact, we're all looking away from those right at the top of the betting. Brewing Up a Storm is up there at 2.3, McFabulous is 3.5, Guard Your Dreams 6.0, Stormy Island 7.5, On the Blind Side 17.0, 26.0, Don Levant. Indefatigable does not run. Sam Turner's been saying looks chilly in Jonesy's loft. I agree. It really does. Jonesy, who do you like?
Well, if I back the winner, I'm going to put it towards the heating costs.
Good idea.
Brewing Up a Storm is the most likely winner, but it's just too short for me for a number of reasons. He was really impressive at Aintree last time, but the form of that, I'd be very suspicious if the Cap Fits and Lisnagar Oscar don't seem the horses that they were a couple of years ago. So I'd be suspicious of that. But he has got that form from last season where he was fifth in the Aintree hurdle, the Grade 1 behind Abracadabras. But Ollie Murphy's horses, they were in brilliant form early December and they've just dropped off a little bit. So I'd worry about that. McFabulous making his comeback. I can't imagine this has been the plan because he'll be 8 on New Year's Day and he's yet to run over fences and he looks like he needs it. So I'm not convinced that he's going to be, because I think he's had a bit of a setback. So I don't want to be with him first time out this season against Racefit horses. So then you're coming, his process of elimination, and Guard Your Dreams is only 5. Well, he'll be 6 on New Year's Day. A young progressive horse who's got a good record at Cheltenham. He beat Song for Someone there over 2 miles last time in the International, which wasn't a particularly strong race for the grade. But he'll be better returning to this sort of distance, over 2.5, and he likes soft ground. So at the prices, I'd be small with Guard Your Dreams.
Guard Your Dreams at 6.0. I went through the race not wanting to back Brewing Up a Storm. Although he's the most likely winner at the top of the betting, I wasn't certain. I don't know if a real test on soft ground is exactly what he wants. McFabulous, I would worry about first up. Guard Your Dreams, not sure if he wanted slightly better ground. Stormy Island, I can definitely see. But again, her recent form seems to have come on a sounder surface. I thought On the Blind Side ticks a lot of boxes for a small win bet at 17.0. I'd say probably trade short than that in the run. A test will be no problem. He's got course form. This is easier than last time anyway in the long walk. So it was just a price selection, to be honest. I think he's always a bit overlooked, and I think he definitely has been here. Don.
Yeah, and I can see the case for both actually On the Blind Side and Guard Your Dreams. I think the step up to 2.5 miles, back up to 2.5 should suit Guard Your Dreams. He battled on well to win the last day. But no, I'm with Stormy Ireland, Tom. She was well beaten last time in the Hatton's Grace hurdle, but that was on good ground against Honeysuckle, and she just was probably a wee bit out of her comfort zone, setting up the lead that she normally sets up, and she was harried by Honeysuckle and Ronald Pump quite early on, and when she was passed, she just faded. But I think back on over 2.5 miles back on softer ground with no Honeysuckle in the race, that could suit her really well, and she does have form on soft ground. I think 2.5 miles on soft ground is pretty much ideal. she's got good form at Cheltenham as well. She ended up finishing second in the Mares Hurdle that Benny de Dieu fell at the final flight that Roxar won. So yeah, like she's back in form now. She's just she's a small mare, but she zips over her hurdles. She handles soft ground well, and hopefully she and On the Blind Side don't get into an early tussle for the lead. I don't think they will. I think she'll go on and he'll sit in behind her. And we saw Danny Mullins, how good he was on Tornado Flyer, Tom, on Sunday. That was from the back. Yeah, he's from the front now on Stormy Ireland, but he's a very good rider. And I just think that she could have them all on the stretch turning for home and she might not be caught.
So we're all looking away from bang at the top of the betting in the Relkeel hurdle. Move on to the 325 at Musselburgh. This is your platform, Steve. So take it away. Who is your selection here and why?
My selection, and you've got to be a bit careful here because there's two horses that sound very similar. Coolbane Boy and Couldine Bog, but Coolbane Boy is the one for me. Ex-Irish, came across to join Sandy Thompson this season in the summer and ran 7th of 7 behind Morriman, who's also in the field today. And that doesn't sound particularly promising, but I think he might well have won. He got the 3rd last, I think it was. It just completely, he was going really well and he just got it all wrong. Nearly unseated Danny McMenamin, who did well stable, but the chance was gone then. He was allowed to just coast home behind it. He was well back that day. So Sandy Thompson, who's a good trainer, clearly thought that he had a horse that was well enough handicapped to win, and it certainly looked likely for 85% of that race. So I'm willing to give him another chance off top weight in what doesn't look a particularly deep race. And that was a 0 to 140 last time that he looked good. And this is a 0 to 120. Carrying more weight in a lesser grade is obviously better than being the other way around. So Coolbane Boy, I think, is a really good bet.
Coolbane Boy, not Couldine Bog, and that's Steve's best bet of the day, but we'll come to that. Ruined it. That is the 325 at Musselburgh, which is now no longer part of the ITV schedule, but we did look at it when it was. Move on to the Savills New Year's Day Chase. So this is the feature in Ireland, and I mean, it's a good race. It's a really interesting race because you've got 6 in there, Don. 5 of them are trained by Willie Mullins, 1 by Gordon Elliott, who's the second favourite in the form of Hard Line. He heads the betting, does album photo at 1.37. So I don't know what but that's not exactly a bet, I don't think, for any of us, but he's certainly the most likely winner. Do you think people will look at this and say it's a race that as long as he stands up, Don, he can't lose because he's almost only got 1 challenger in there, or is it not as simple as that, if you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, look, he should win, Tom. He always does win this race. Interesting that at the start of the season, Willie Mullins was talking about doing something different with him this year, maybe because he didn't win the Gold Cup last season. And he was entering the John Durkin Chase. He didn't run in that. He had another entry as well, I think, along the way. But here we are again, back to, as you were for the last 3 years, back to the Savills Chase at Tramore on New Year's Day. And look, it'll be good to see him back. It's going to be, I suppose, in terms of the Gold Cup betting, there's no major upside for him, is there? Like, all he can do is tarnish his reputation. If he wins and wins well, that's all that's expected of him. Whereas obviously it's a horse race, there's a chance he'll be beaten, and if he does get beaten, then that's obviously that's going to dent his Gold Cup prospects. But look, it's good that he's back. Yeah, I think Brahma Bull, like, he's the outsider of the whole lot. If I'm sure there'll be a Matchbook will have a market on without, but I think he could be the one to get closest to him. Like, he unseated in the race last year. He only has net £7 to find with album photo. And yeah, I think that his run in the Ladbrokes Trophy was a very good run. He was well beaten in the end by Cloudy Glen, but he stayed on. Now he may want further, but I just think he's generally an underrated horse. But look, it's good that Willie Mullins is running all these horses, Tom, because he could just say, look, we leave it for album photo to go and collect it. But different owners, well, some of them are different owners. 3 of them are owned by Susanna Ritchie. It's good that they're taking him on. At least it's going to be a good horse race, and Hardline in there as well. He was disappointing in the Clonmel Auld Chase the last day behind Fakir Duderi's after running well in the PwC chase at Goran Park. So look, 2 miles 6 is probably a good trip for him, whereas it's probably on the sharp side for Album Photo. But the ground is going to be good and soft, so that'll suit Album Photo as well. So look, you expect Album Photo to go and win it and win well, and maybe Brahma Bull is the one to chase him home.
Yeah, Brahma Bull, who's 17.0 in the outright market. So have a look when the bet without market is up and running. And yeah, he was entered for a midweek race, Album Photo. I think it might have been at Thurles, but I can't remember. And he was taken out because of the ground. So they had a different plan, but they're now going back to sort of original Route 1, if you like. Although I think he's had a racecourse gallop. Jonesy, he's 13.0 on the Matchbook betting exchange for the Gold Cup. Is he a horse that interests you in that market at all or not?
Well, he's been there and done it, hasn't he? But so you've got to certainly consider him. Wouldn't be top of my list now, but yeah, why not? He's a really reliable horse. He's a bit like Best Mate in that because we don't see him very often, he perhaps hasn't had the credit that he deserves for winning 2 Gold Cups. He's not like Desi or Corto Star that was out regularly and everyone loved them. They sort of, people are a bit cold with them, but he's obviously a very good horse who will, I dare say, win on New Year's Day at Tramore. Whether he can regain the Gold Cup is another matter, but I mean, he wasn't beaten far in it last year.
And our producers pointed out that he was 21.0 before Christmas for the Gold Cup. So that just shows, although I think Ruby put him up on the road to Cheltenham last night. So that might have affected his price a little bit. But I think that's also done an element of the fact that, Manila Indo was so disappointing. The King George was won by an outsider. So he's half shortened up just by not running in a week.
Well, exactly. And Absolute Tar got beaten.
Yeah,
he was only beaten narrowly, but he was beaten. Suddenly as Absolute Tar's win in the Betfair Chase at Haydock, it's not the last thing people remember now. The recency value is the short or the head or the neck defeat by Galvin. So, yeah, look at the whole Christmas racing. Those 2 races really threw the Gold Cup picture open. And the ones that are shortened up are the ones who are standing in their boxes. Yeah, and as Steve says, Album Photo, he's won it twice before it's been done. Kato Star has come back and won it again, having lost it, and he wasn't, he was beaten into 3rd place last year, and the first 3 were well clear. So, yeah, he has to be in the reckoning.
Let's move on to the Grade 1 of the weekend, which is over 2.5 miles. Let me just check if we have got any prices for it. In fact, I'll let Don talk about it first of all, because we've now got decks, and then I'll see if I can dig out some prices. But we've got Churchstone Warrior, Ginto, Grand Jury, Hollow Games for same connections as Ginto or Ginto, The Little Yank. What They Want. Have I got that right? And Angels Dawn. Go on, Don.
Well, I think it's what do you want? They call him. I think.
What do you want? Who's had 3 goes so far? Who beat Ginto in a Fairy House bumper?
He did. He did.
Go on. What do you like, Don?
A lot depends on how they bet, Tom. I think Ginto is probably going to be favourite. I think he's probably the right favourite. Like, he was very, very good in winning the Grade 2 at Navan last time. He just came away, like he nipped up on the inside. He got up on the inside of Eric Bloodaxe and then just went clear. And Eric Bloodaxe then enhanced the form by winning the Doran's Pride Hurdle at Limerick over Christmas. Even Mr. Fred Rogers, who was 3rd, he went and won next time. So the race is working out well. Ginto won it well. He was a very expensive purchase, but he's, and when he got beaten by What Do You Want in that bumper, you're kind of thinking, well, that was an expensive purchase for a horse that just got beaten in a bumper. But he's since gone on and he's looked very good in what he's done over hurdles. His 2 runs over hurdles have been very good. So look, he's a very, very exciting horse. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. I think 2.5 miles is probably a good trip for him. Whereas Hollow Games, his stable companion, also owned by Bective Stud, you think just the way that he won at Navan the last time, he wasn't overly impressive in winning, but the race wasn't run to suit. They stood still at the start. They didn't move off for a little while. There wasn't really a great pace on. He was up and handy, probably handier than ideal. And then they quickened from the top of the home straight, and he wasn't traveling best. And his jumping had been just a little bit ponderous early on in the race. But what was impressive about him was the last 3 flights. When they were racing, he needed to jump them well, and he jumped all 3 really well. And that was, going at a pace. It was great to see him jumping those flights. And he went on and won nicely. That was 2.5 miles as well. You'd think he's probably a horse who could stretch out in trip, and maybe looking ahead to future targets. The Albert Bartlett could be maybe more his race at Cheltenham than the Ballymore Hurdle. But it's good that they're both declared. It'd be interesting to see how they both go. But what do you want? Like, he's a very, very interesting horse. He, as you say, Tommy, beat Ginto in that bumper, and then his next run was in the Grade 2 bumper at the Dublin Racing Festival, and he got completely outpaced on the run down the back straight. He looked like he was going to be pulled up, and then he just found a second win, and he stayed on to finish third. He was well beaten by Kilcrut, but he did show that once, and it can't be that he was outpaced. It must have been just greenness or inexperience or lost concentration, because he ran on really strongly. And then the last day against Harold Hardrad at Navan, it wasn't as pronounced as that day, but he still seemed to get outpaced at the third last. He made a mistake at the third last, and that was when they quickened. And it looked like he was too far out of his ground. And Harold Hardrad was traveling really well, but he stayed on well, and went and won nicely in the end. Again, that was over 2.5 miles. He is a horse who could go out and trip, but he's owned by Sean Bernardine Ryan, who sponsored the Ballymore Hurdle. So that's probably going to be his target at Cheltenham. That's 2.5. So on 2.5, this race, it's 2.5 miles at Naas. It's normally a race that's won by, a 2.5 to 3 miler. So they're two very interesting horses. It'd just be interesting if you have betting on it yet, because I think Ginto will be favourite, but what do you want might be value against him. No.
And that's how I was so there is no betting as yet, but this is how I was framing the race up, in the sense that I feel like Ginto should be favourite. But then I'm a little bit, Davy Russell isn't on him. So I don't know if is that a choice that Davy's had, because he normally rides the Bective stud horses, right? So, but Jack Kennedy's on Ginto. So I'm a bit confused by that. It's not a case that, I suppose that Davy hasn't ridden Ginto. So maybe that's part of it, Don. Would you look at a huge amount into that or not?
I'd say that's exactly it, Tom. Like, Davy Russell rode Hollow Games in both his hurdle races. Jack Kennedy's ridden Ginto in his first hurdle race, and then Jamie Codd took over last time, spare ride. So yeah, maybe that's it. I wouldn't really glean anything from the fact that Davy Russell's on one or Jack Kennedy's on another with any of the Gordon Elliott horses, really. I just think, he suits the two jockeys to the horses, and they both, they've each ridden each other's horse. So maybe Gordon just decided to leave them on them like that.
Okay, so I mean, effectively, there is no market yet, but you'd imagine Ginto would probably head the market, and Don's suggesting that whatever happens, he doesn't think there's a huge amount between Ginto and what do we want. So what do you want could be a bit of value against him. Steve, if pushed, do you like Ginto?
Yeah, Don knows the Irish racing much better than I do, but the run last time at Navan, where he beat Eric Bloodaxe and Mr. Fred Rogers, worked out really well. So I think he's a nice prospect, and the 2.5 miles on soft ground would be ideal. I think he was a non-runner earlier in the season on better ground, so soft ground suits him well, and I think he might just have a bit more pace than what you want.
The last thing I'll say on it is it's gone to favourites for fun, really. The last 6 winners have all been favourites, and before that, Briar Hill won it as favourite after McKinley caused a bit of a surprise. Tends to go to one well found in the market, but we'll see. Right, best bets time. Best bets for New Year's Day or beyond. You never know. Who is your best bet? Steve Jones.
Coolbane Boy at Musselburgh in that 325, was it? Yeah.
Coolbane Boy is your best bet. Donn McClean, who is your best bet, sir?
I'll stick with Galahad Quest, Tom, in the 2.5 mile handicap chase. I think the ground, as we discussed earlier on, is in his favour. He was unlucky to fall the last day at Aintree, and I think he can do better than he did in the November race at Cheltenham on the softer ground, and actually off a pound lower mark of 134.
And I'm going to go with Tamar Bridge as my best bet. Win and place at 6.0. Can't see him out of the frame. We're done. Good stuff. Jonesy, thank you very much indeed. Have a nice New Year. Anything planned for New Year's Eve, Steve?
Yeah, going to a neighbour's who've informed me this morning that it's black tie, which is always good to hear, isn't it? But we'll struggle through. So happy New Year to everyone. It's been great over the last year trying to find winners for everybody.
Good stuff. Thanks, Steve. And Don, I hope you enjoy your New Year's Eve. Are you Tramore bound tomorrow or not?
I'm not. No, Naas on Sunday for me. No, I'll be. Yeah, not Tramore tomorrow. But yeah, good racing over the week. Everywhere, it's really good racing again over the weekend. It's been a feast of it since Sunday, really. But yeah, like Steve, Happy New Year to everybody, and thanks to everybody for watching during the year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy your festivities this evening, and enjoy the racing tomorrow in the May. Bye bye.